Today I'm going to teach you how to make my amazing roasted tomato soup. This tomato soup is made with real fresh tomatoes. It's perfectly creamy and absolutely delicious. You are going to love this. Welcome to Food Crazed. For this recipe, we need some real fresh tomatoes, and we're going to use a variety of different kinds of tomatoes for this soup. Now to start, let's preheat the oven to 400 degrees. In a large sheet pan, we need to add 10 to 12 cups of tomatoes that have been halved or quartered. This way, they're all roughly about the same size when you halve or quarter the tomatoes, and then go ahead and spread them out across the sheet pan. Now add one large chopped onion, and to this we need to add 6 to 8 cloves of peeled garlic, 1 cup of baby carrots, and 2 ribs of celery. Now just drizzle 3 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil right over the top. Top this with a dash of salt and ground pepper. Toss everything around so the veggies are all nice and coated in the extra virgin olive oil. Down in the description is a list of all the ingredients used in this tomato soup, and there's also a link to a full printable recipe for this soup. Roast this in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes or until the onions and the tomatoes start to turn brown on the top. Let this rest for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to continue forward. We're going to be adding some fresh basil to this. This is what basil looks like, and you can just pull off the little leaves of the basil and put it on top. We need about 1/4 of a cup of fresh basil, which is approximately about 10 leaves of basil. And we're going to be adding some fresh oregano to this. This is what the oregano looks like, and you just pull the little leaves off of the oregano, and we're going to need 2 tablespoons of fresh oregano, which is approximately about 30 leaves of oregano. You can always substitute with dried basil and dried oregano, and I'll put down in the description the amounts needed for that. Scoop this into a blender or a food processor. And did I mention how absolutely amazing my house smelled while this was baking? These tomatoes with the vegetables, oh my gosh, my whole family was like, what is cooking? We're so hungry. This smells so delicious. And yes, it will. Your house will smell like an Italian bistro. Ooh, and also don't forget to add all the juices from the pan into your blender or food processor. And just blend this up until it is super creamy. I will briefly stop the blender for a second, and I will scrape down the sides with a spatula just to get all the little bits in there, and then blend it a second time to make sure it's super creamy. This right here is my roasted tomato soup base. This is the base for our soup recipe. Here's a little trick and a tip. You can actually make this roasted tomato soup base ahead of time and either refrigerate it for up to 3 days, or you can freeze it in quart-sized freezer bags for 2 to 3 months, and then you continue forward with making it into my tomato soup. When you're ready to make it into soup, you're gonna need, I like to use a slow cooker for this process, but pour your roasted tomato soup base, which is the ingredients right there that we just blended up, into a large slow cooker. Now to this, we're gonna add 1 32-ounce box of chicken broth. Notice a little tip right there. You can pour this right over a spatula so that it doesn't splatter everywhere as you're pouring it in. And to this, we're going to add 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Let's add all of our seasonings. We need 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground pepper. And to this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of prepared pesto. I love pesto, and having a little hint of pesto in this really enhances the flavor. Now just go ahead and whisk this all up together so it's nice and creamy and you've kind of incorporated the chicken broth into your tomato soup base. Now heat this on low for 3 to 4 hours until everything is nice and hot, and this helps to get all of the flavors of the pesto and the seasonings and the roasted tomato soup with the chicken broth, and everything can kind of come together. One more ingredient, we're going to add 1 cup of whipping cream to this and just whisk this in until it's fully incorporated into the soup. This soup is totally ready to serve. What is tomato soup without having an amazing grilled cheese sandwich? Well, I did make some rustic bread to go with this, and I actually made a special rustic bread. This right here is a cheddar jalapeno bacon rustic loaf that then I turned into a grilled cheese sandwich. Yes. Oh, it's so delicious. Oh my word. That's going to come out on a whole nother video, which I'm really excited to show you about how to make this rustic bread from scratch. This roasted tomato soup is so perfect and creamy and absolutely delicious. I'm going to put a link down in the description to the full printable recipe for this soup. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another yummy recipe. Thanks again for watching.